What's going on, guys? It is Superflex, and today I want to dive into something a little bit different from my current fans. This may seem a little bit different to you guys, but this is something that I just absolutely love doing. I love college sports, so every time I get the opportunity to fill out one of these ESPN brackets, I'll gladly make a recorded video of my picks and predictions before the event starts. In this case, this is the college football playoff. I'm actually really excited for this. Outside of Geometry Dash, this is the post that I normally make. I love watching college sports, which is college football and basketball in particular. It's just so much fun, just to me. And I like to do stuff like this fun. Like I'll do this, and then I'll also do like the March Madness bracket. Those are always my fun things. I always did them as a kid, and I love to do them now. But without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm actually really excited for this. Alright guys, I am back on the official tournament page. I did not realize that I was only able to submit 2 brackets. I'm pretty sure it was more last year. I don't really remember, but in this case, in this situation, I did these brackets yesterday on my free time, but I am still going to go over my picks and why and upload it anyway. For the first matchup, you have obviously James Madison versus Oregon. I picked Oregon. The reason I am picking Oregon is pretty simple and self-explanatory. James Madison they seem like a solid 11-1 team, but the one loss they have was to Louisville, and they lost by 2 touchdowns. I think it was more, and then I think James Madison scored late. I don't fully remember the game very well, but it was controlled pretty much start to finish by Louisville. And I'm going to trust Oregon is better than Louisville this year. And I think James Madison has improved over time, but I think Oregon has as well. I think it's just a complete talent mismatch, and I think overall coaching is better. You got all kinds of fingers that point to Oregon, so I'm going to pick Oregon in game 1 versus James Madison. Next game is Alabama versus Oklahoma. I know Alabama is going to Oklahoma for this first round of the playoff game, and the last time Alabama did go to Oklahoma, Oklahoma won by 2. I believe it was 23-21. I did pick Alabama. I personally didn't like Alabama being in this playoff system, but I understand why the committee did it. Shouldn't be punished for being in a conference title game. I understand, but in the same respect, I do think that they are a better team than Oklahoma for this particular game. In the first round, you had all the hype during the regular season. This is a way more high at stake game, and it is also really hard to beat a team twice like Oklahoma. I mean, you scrape by Alabama. You probably should have lost, but in the same respect, I do just believe that Alabama and Kalen DeBoer, they're going to come big in a big time situation against Oklahoma. I think I'd rather see Oklahoma win this game, but my heart strongly tells me Alabama is going to avenge that loss they just had a few weeks ago. So give me Alabama. They're going to move on to the next round. Next, we have Ole Miss and Tulane. This is actually a rematch from earlier this season and in the same place. This is going to be at Ole Miss. One of the biggest differences of this game, and there's actually 2, and they're the same reason, is that both teams lost their head coaches. One of them is still coaching. Tulane's head coach is still going to coach them in the playoffs. Ole Miss, however, Lane Kiffin is no longer with the Rebels. I'm very curious to see how this game goes. I'm going to lean Ole Miss in this game just because it's at home. It's a playoff. It's the first time they've made the playoffs. I'm excited to see this. I think Ole Miss will win. I do. I don't know if it's going to be the same amount, or we're about to find out how big of a piece Lane Kiffin was to this team. So with that being said, some people may pick Tulane just because the first reason is hard to beat the same team twice, and the second reason is because Lane Kiffin isn't coaching. I'm still going to pick Ole Miss in this game just because talent is too much, and this is their chance. If any of the guys in this group in this game for Ole Miss love Ole Miss for who they are and not because of NIL, they're going to bring their fight because they've never been to the playoff. It's one of the biggest nights in their collegiate history to be able to go out here and play this game in a playoff to play for the next round. So that's why I'm picking Ole Miss to win this game. Seeing the Tulane upset, it just doesn't feel likely. I think this is a more likely upset than James Madison, but I'm just not going to pick it. It just doesn't feel right to pick them to win this game. I'll go ahead and move on to the next game. We got Texas A&M at home against Miami. Both of these teams beat the team that got kicked out of the bracket on selection day, which is Notre Dame. Both of these teams beat Notre Dame by 1 score. What a matchup this is. I cannot wait to see this. this is a really tough one to pick. If you know, you know. Miami has dropped some really horrible games, especially that Louisville. I have no idea how Miami sold so hard to that team. I don't get it. As a Kansas State fan, I am a Kansas State fan. I am stoked about Colin Klein from Texas A&M going over to K-State, but I do know that he is going to be the offensive coordinator for this game. So I am going to pick Texas A&M. They had a great season until they lost to Texas, and Texas does look a lot better than they did in the beginning of the year. Reasonably not making the playoff, but I think Texas A&M is going to bounce back off of that loss. It's going to be at home. It is a morning game. I wish it was a night game, but it is a morning game. This game could go either way. I know the point spread is very small, which is why it's such a hard game to pick. But I'm still going to go with Texas A&M. I'm going to trust the offense and defense here. All right, let's move on to the next game. I picked Oregon over James Madison, so that means it'll be Oregon versus Texas Tech. I think this game is at 11 a.m. I don't know if the times on here are correct. I've seen that there's been a bug. I don't know if these are correct, but I love Texas Tech. Obviously Kansas State fan, Big 12, woohoo. Of course, I'm going to pick the Big 12 team. No, this Texas Tech team is laying waste to everybody in its path. Do I think they're going to do that to Oregon? Absolutely not. I think this is definitely going to be a better game. At least I hope it is a better game, because if this one does end up being a blowout from either team, I'm going to be shocked. It doesn't matter if it's Tech or Oregon that's doing the blowout. I will be shocked. I think this is a really good matchup. I do have Tech winning. I just feel like the guys that are at Texas Tech, every single bit of them are bought in, and of course it is one of the most expensive teams in college football right now. The team just seems to be locked in. It doesn't really matter who they play. And BYU had their rematch in the Big 12 championship, and they got beat by more. Like, you just got to understand that Tech is on a mission. I think they're really trying hard to represent the program, the college program. And I think they're going to get a big win here. I think they're going to beat Oregon, and they're going to move on to the semifinals. Next, we got Alabama and Indiana. Sorry, these are neutral site games. I shouldn't be saying at, but Alabama and Indiana. If this was a Nick Saban Alabama team, I'd feel more confident in Alabama, but it's not. And that's why I'm kind of on the edge here. Kalen DeBoer is such a question mark to me. Now, when it comes to talent, I think Alabama does have more talent. I'm also hearing late rumblings that Ty Simpson got injured. As of recording this is December 11th, and I just saw an article not even 2 hours ago before I did this, which I picked this yesterday, so I didn't know about this. But if Ty Simpson is injured for this game, I wouldn't have any faith in Alabama to win this game. I would definitely be picking Indiana here. Indiana proved that they can beat the big dog. And they kind of did it twice. They beat Oregon at Oregon earlier in the season, and they took down Ohio State. And, as someone, I've really wanted Indiana to win, and I'm happy they won. A lot of people didn't think they were going to win. But I think because the game was in Indianapolis, Indiana's 12-0, they know they can do it, so they did it. I remember seeing the post game for Kurt Signetti. Man, he's such a guy. I cannot wait to see what happens in this playoff. I'm really interested in this game. Let's just say I'm gonna be surprised if Bama wins with or without Ty Simpson. I'm gonna be surprised if Alabama wins this game, but Indiana is a team that everyone should be marking on their calendars from here on out. Like, there's just no excuse anymore. Indiana's a legit college football team now, and it's hard to believe it, but I'm going to pick Indiana to win this game. Next, we have Georgia and Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin, that is one of the major factors that I'm taking into this game, and Georgia looked dominant in their win versus Alabama, and that was with Ty Simpson. So I'm not going to spend too long on this. I'm going to pick Georgia to win, and I know that I'm picking all of the teams that had a bye. Now, if you remember last year, every single team that had a bye lost their playoff game, which was insane. I figured a couple of them would lose, but seeing all four bye teams lose was insane. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Georgia here. I watched the SEC title game. I don't watch too much SEC, but I did watch that one because I wanted to see if Alabama could at least put up a fight, and they didn't even do that. I'm going to pick Georgia to win this game. without Lane Kiffin, it's hard to see Ole Miss having any chance in this game. And this is in Louisiana. It is the All-State Sugar Bowl. So it could happen. You know, there could be a good crowd for Ole Miss. In the SEC, I feel like Ole Miss could make this a game. But I'm going to trust Kirby and Georgia because they got smacked in the mouth last year. I think they're going to bounce back really good in this game. Next, we have Ohio State and Texas A&M. I picked Texas A&M to win over Miami, and it doesn't really matter either of these teams. Whoever wins this game, I'm going to pick Ohio State. Ohio State once again got smacked in the mouth by Indiana in the Big Ten Championship, and they are going to probably play a little bit harder. And I'm going to pick them to win. Now, if Texas A&M were to win this game, boy, how big that would be. I have no idea what kind of emotions I'd be feeling to see Ohio State somehow lose 2 games in a row. But I'm going to pick Ohio State to win. I think they're going to have just too much talent. The guys are going to be more motivated. You know, they're still in the playoff. They have a lot to work for. So I'm going to pick Ohio State to win this game and move on to the semifinal. First round of the semifinal. Let's go, guys. One of these 2 teams in this game is going to win the national championship. Both brackets I have, it's one of these 2 teams. I picked either Indiana or Texas Tech. In this bracket, I'm picking Texas Tech, and in the other one, I'm picking Indiana. Just wow. I am amazed by both of these teams. Indiana, I don't know how deep they are. And it doesn't really matter if even Alabama won this game and they moved on to play Texas Tech. Part of me is so bought in on Texas Tech. Now, does it feel kind of gimmicky that they're in this position? Yeah, because Texas Tech just hasn't been that powerhouse recently until this year, and they're just beating everybody. It's not even close. Now, once again, that is not going to happen against Indiana. I just don't see it. I can't see anyone manhandling Indiana this year. But Texas Tech their defense is so potent. When this team is warmed up and they're ready to go, they are hard to beat. I mean, you feel helpless. I mean, I've watched teams fight them. Even my own team, Kansas State, I watched them fight. So I've seen Texas Tech firsthand. Yes, they've had some rough games. Yes, they did lose to Arizona State without their starting quarterback. I'll add there. I see Texas Tech winning. And this is a 6:30 game, so it just depends. I don't know where the Peach Bowl is. I think this is still going to be a 50-50 crowd. Give me Tech to win and move on. Now, like I said, in my other bracket, I have Indiana winning and moving on. I can make a case for both sides, and so could you. But I'm going to pick Texas Tech to win this game. In the next game, we have Georgia and Ohio State, a rematch semifinal from a few years ago in the 4-team playoff, and boy, was it a game. Oh, I loved that game. I'm not as high on Ohio State as I am Georgia after watching the conference championship games. Georgia's defense looked locked down solid, and that's the main reason I'm picking Georgia to win this game. Ohio State could surprise me. They may pull out some weapons because they did lose last time they played Georgia, and it would not surprise me if Ohio State won this game. But in this bracket, I'm going to pick Georgia. I'm just going to pick Georgia because I trust their defense, and I think, Gunnar Stockton, I believe his name is, I think that QB can make some plays. I think he's going to come up big. National championship. Texas Tech in Georgia. I had to think about this one a little bit, but I'm going to go with Texas Tech. I think this is their year. Now, both of these teams have such a stout defense. It's going to matter on offense. Whose offense do I trust more? Honestly, I'm trusting Georgia. But can the Texas Tech defense do enough to stop Georgia's offense? I think this is going to be a relatively low-scoring game. I did put 57 for my score, but I'm looking at it's going to be in the 20s and 20s. I could be completely wrong about this. Georgia, whenever they've been to the national championship, they prevail. So it isn't out of the ordinary to pick Georgia to win this game, but I'm going to go with Texas Tech, mainly because, I'm Big 12, and plus Texas Tech just doesn't really matter who they're playing. They look untouchable. When that team has confidence and they want to get rolling, they can do good things. And also, if it isn't Texas Tech and it's Indiana, I'm going to choose Indiana, to win the national championship. Take what you will. But that is my college football playoff bracket picks. Please like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you guys next video. Peace.